Coming up on today's Locked On Hawkeyes podcast, Trent Condon joined by LeShun Daniels, a former Hawkeye running back, and Iowa's got another running back that has burst onto the scene from Ohio. We'll talk about Kaleb Johnson and what LeShun saw in that. The running game, still some struggles in there. What's going wrong with the Hawkeye offensive line? That's coming your way. We'll talk about the defense. And again, why didn't we see the backup quarterback? All coming up on today's Locked On Hawkeyes podcast.
Are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Trent Condon here, LeShun Daniels there. This is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen each and every day. Iowa gets the win 27-0 over Nevada. And LeShun here with us as we're going to break things down, get his perspective on things. LeShun, people have heard me here on the podcast, instant reaction that I finally flipped on the microphone at about 2:15, I think it was, on Sunday morning after that game came to a conclusion. Had a recap after rewatching things Sunday night that posted on Monday. So now we'll give you a little bit of breathing room. I think people have got my takes on things. Iowa gets the victory 27-0, but boy, what a weird, wild, wacky night it turned out to be. Sitting in the locker room for that time, it just absolutely incredible, but Iowa, ultimately, they get the job done. How you doing today?
Yeah, doing good. I mean, regardless, how I'm feeling. I'm always feeling good whenever Iowa gets a win on the weekend, regardless of how it turns out. So, uh, not doing too bad this week.
The running game is the story, at least to me. We're going to talk about the passing game and some still concerns for me that I've talked about the last couple of episodes, LeShun, but want to start with the running game. Obviously, your forte as a former Hawkeye running back, you know the zone scheme and what they're trying to do. And what you saw, another Ohio guy, that Ohio pipeline continues at the running back spot. Kaleb Johnson, a young man that was committed to Cal for a number of months back during the summer before his senior year, ended up flipping his commitment to Iowa last October. They got a gem. And I talked to a few people out there. I have some family in Cleveland, and they said they thought they got a good one. You know, he was never going to be a guy that was probably going to get an Ohio State or a Michigan offer, but they were surprised that there wasn't more interest in Kaleb Johnson, that, you know, the Iowas and the Wisconsins and the Minnesotas and kind of that next tier, if you will, a Big Ten school, even a Penn State, were not sniffing around. Really talented guy, put together. He put a lot of big numbers up at the high school level. What did you see from Kaleb Johnson?
Yeah. First things first. Obviously, he's a pretty well put together guy for a freshman, right? I mean, it's not too often, right? You get guys that not only have good height and good build to him, but also got like good weight and everything behind him as well, right? I mean, I think he's listed probably like 215, 220, right? And so that's a pretty big guy, right? Well put together. And another thing that I noticed just from watching him on Saturday was obviously his speed, right? That was the thing that we saw really on full on display on Saturday. He showcased that when he got his opportunities and really made the most of him by really showcasing that open field and finding a way to get into the end zone.
Gets it done twice. The first one, a 40-yarder. That one, he showed the power that he has in the lower body. Went through an arm tackle on that one, and he was cutting back as he did it. It felt like, from a guy that never played running back at any kind of level, that was difficult to do. Going through, making your way through the arm tackle while he was cutting. Really impressed on that one.
Yeah. Thought he did a fantastic job running behind his pads, right? I mean, he wasn't standing up too tall, right? He got those pads down right before he was about to get contact and was able to keep that good contact balance and stay on his feet. And then basically just letting what his ability is do the rest of the work, right? So that's a great run by him. Obviously, the second run, still, although it's good, right? We saw his speed. I mean, it was fantastic blocking, right? No one was there. But yeah, that first touchdown run was very impressive, right? We saw his quick feet. We saw him read the hole and then burst through the hole. And that was, I think, the biggest reason why he was able to score that touchdown, right? After you make that cut and you have that burst after it, right? When you see the space, there's no dilly dallying, there's no pitter patting with your feet. It's just like you kind of hit it and go, because then that puts the defense in worse angles, right? Which then forces them to try to make arm tackles, which with Kaleb's build, right, he's going to be breaking a bunch of arm tackles if people continue to try to tackle him like that. So I was very, very impressed with, um, Kaleb's extended playing time on Saturday, and looking forward to, building off of that and getting him to see more involved in the passing game
Mhm.
as well. So yeah, I think I'm very, very excited for his future as I was running back.
He looked really good out there. Gavin Williams, of course, got the start. LeShun Williams, and thoughts and prayers with him and his family after the passing of his father. He was not available, and he was back. In fact, it was Saturday that the funeral was, so he was not available. But great to see the freshman step up there. Also got to see a little bit of Jazzy Patterson late in that football game. He ends up getting 6 carries. Look, you're playing with a lot of reserves on the offensive line, but he looked a little more put together than I anticipated. It was kind of that thunder and lightning package it felt like we were getting with these two guys coming in, but Patterson a little bit bigger than I anticipated seeing him out there on the field.
Yeah, he did look pretty big out there, and he ran pretty hard, right? I mean, anytime you get an opportunity to play in a football game on Saturday as a freshman, right? As like or as a young guy in general, right? It's always a good opportunity for you, and to go out there and put some good things on tape and show off like yeah, like I can do this pretty well too is a good thing. And yeah, it seems like I was doing pretty good in the running back recruiting department so far, and hopefully they can keep that up. I mean, it's always a good thing when you can get well developed, put together running backs,
Mhm.
because running backs it's really one of those positions that they can really help your team early on in their careers. It's not like some of those other positions where they do kind of have to develop a little bit further before they can really make a real impact. And so the more reps that those young guys can continue to get is only going to be better for the Hawkeyes.
So we saw the young guys out there for the Hawks and getting it done in the run game. Gavin Williams finished just shy of 4 yards per carry, coming back off the injury. Didn't seem like he had a whole lot of bursts there, but also the offensive line really had some struggles. Mentioned those numbers from Pro Football Focus; they were not pretty again for this offensive line. What are you seeing up front? Where are the deficiencies in this run game? Running back, I think we feel good. It's not like this is back going way back in the day to 2004 where God bless his heart, but Sam Brownlee's out there as a walk-on, trying to get things done. I'm sure you probably heard those stories. It feels like there's talent in the running back room. What are you seeing? Where are the problems up front? This is a bad Nevada defense, and they still were not able to run the football.
Yeah, yeah. Thing is very, very frustrating, I think, for the offensive line and their performance. I feel like they know that they're not at the level that they really need to be at. And I mean, even though Gavin, right, still didn't look like he had the quite a burst that we're kind of used to seeing from him. I mean, there's still a bunch of times where he's getting tackled or at least getting hit right 2 yards in the backfield, right? I mean, in our offense, I mean, taking any negative yardage plays on first and second down, it's almost like, hey, let's just get ready for the punt team because we're having struggles staying on track and on pace for like on regular down and distances. So for that to be happening and guys basically running free to in our backfield it's an issue, right? And feel like a lot of it is really again it's young guys in um, playing full speed reps, right? It's a lot different than being in practice, even though they're going against one of the best defenses they'll go against, right? In practice, right? It still is just a little bit different when you get into the games. And I think it's right now again, it's still a lot of young guys, right? They're trying to mesh and come together. But there are times where they just make just kind of basic mistakes, right? That
Mhm.
I feel like are things that really get covered again in probably the first week of installs during fall camp or in spring practices, right? I mean, there's times where, hey, we're running the inside zone, right? And the D lineman that they're going against, right, slashes behind them, right? And now that like the next guy over is supposed to be taking him over. It doesn't get taken over, or linebackers are filling in the gaps and they're kind of just running free, just getting untouched, or where the linemen, they're seeing them late and they're just barely getting a hand on them, right? I feel like it's a lot of things that it's just it's basic fundamental stuff that I feel like that they're really missing out on right now, right? I mean, regardless if we're getting creative and whatnot, like I feel like when it comes to our basic run game, right? If we can't get that stuff done, like being creative and wanting to do all these different things really doesn't matter at the end of the day, right? Because like, what's the point of trying to add in different wrinkles and all these different things in our offense if you know we can't even do the basic stuff up front, right? And I feel like that's a lot of issues right now where the when it comes to fundamentals and knowing the guys who we should be picking up when the defense does move, right? And a lot of teams that we play against, guys move around all the time, whether it's on the D line and linebackers are flying around and moving in different gaps. And I feel like just right now, like our eyes aren't right on the interior, especially like really on the interior part of the line, right? Really from the guard, from the left guard to right guard spots, right? I feel like right now, like they're not gelling the way that they probably anticipated they would have gelled, and that's going to be very, very important for these next few weeks because right now it's been tough sledding trying to run it inside pretty much all year.
Yeah, the offensive line has had those issues in there. Logan Jones, the of course first time starter at the center position, he has had his issues this year. Tyler Ellsbury, though, a guy that has been on the depth chart, I do wonder about him and him getting a little bit more run. He graded out as the top offensive lineman, both in the running blocking and in the pass blocking grade, and overall for the Hawkeyes in his 27 snaps. Maybe that will help out at the guard position for the Hawks going forward. And Mason Richmond, coming back healthy now. He was banged up a lot of August camp. Looked like at left tackle, he's starting to find his footing a little bit more. Now I got to put it all together, right? Connor Colby, I thought he struggled a little bit. Got to get all five of those guys, and we've talked about it before, LeShun. This is working in unison. It's not about
Yeah.
having an All-American. It's not about having one or two good guys. You need all five guys playing well.
Yeah, yeah. Offensive lines, like that's really like the one position group where all guys got to be firing on all cylinders, probably there, and defensive back, right? Like you guys have to be like, even if you have a superstar on your offensive line, if everyone else isn't on the same page, like it really doesn't matter, right? Because you can't create that type of impact that you want to create, right? So these guys just gotta they're gonna have to continue to work on these different things and really, really hone on these fundamentals because now this stuff is going to get even more important, right? As we get into Big Ten play, right? I mean, right, we're not going to be going against a Nevada defense every week,
Yeah,
right? Like that's
very
not,
bad. Yeah.
yeah, like that's not going to happen, right? We're going to be going against other Power Five, Big Ten defensive players, right? Who are on scholarship, who are going to be relatively highly recruited guys, right? So it's not going to get any easier. And if our fundamentals, right, and our eyes aren't right, um, you know, for against these teams, right? Our physical ability, it's not going to be relevant whatsoever, right? Because guys are going to be all over the place, and we're going to be making the same mistakes kind of over and over again. So those are things that are going to have to be corrected and get fixed, which I'm sure that they're going to be harping on again all week. So
Well, it's Big Ten play starting this week and the first road trip of the season for Iowa as they head out to Piscataway and take on Rutgers. We'll talk about that. What it's like starting Big Ten play. Is there a flip switch inside the walls of Fort Kinnick? Well, we talked about the positives in the running game and some of the negatives. We also got to talk about the passing game. Showed improvement, just how much improvement, and the defense elite once again as they pitch a shutout. That's all as we continue here. This is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. From cringing at the pump to getting an eye-popping check at your favorite restaurant, inflation is hitting us all where it hurts, and it really hurts. That's why I've started using Upside. Upside, great app for anyone who wants to buy gas, groceries, dines out, and we all do that stuff. With every purchase, I'm earning cash back thanks to Upside. I've used it a couple of times at the pump, saved big, big money on each gallon of gas. Love that. I got a big SUV. Happy to save money whenever I can, and going to try it out here this week with a restaurant. It is Upside. Download the Upside app today. It's free. Use promo code LOCKED and you'll get $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Again, that promo code is LOCKED. $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Claim an offer whenever you're inside and you're buying on Upside. Check in at the business that you're at and just pay as usual with your credit card, your debit card, and you'll get paid. You can see why people are using it. A 4.8 star user rating on the App Store. Over $1 million saved each and every week with Upside. Download the free Upside app. Use promo code LOCKED. $5 or more cash back on your first purchase of $10 or more. Again, this is a no doubt about it offer. $5 or more back on your first purchase of $10 or more just using the promo code LOCKED for Upside. LeShun, we continue here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast and want to get into what you saw in the passing game. Steps forward, it wasn't great. I thought Spencer Petras, again, left a lot of throws out there, but having his full complement receivers, Keegan back, Nico back, see a little bit more of Brody Breck. The touchdown pass, he almost overthrew him in a wide open wheel route, but ultimately Arlen Bruce made the play there. It was a step forward, but maybe not as big of a step forward as we hoped against that brutal Nevada defense.
Yeah, there was definitely some encouraging things that, I saw, right? For starters, just them taking shots, right, is encouraging to me, right? I mean, I hate watching teams, right, and all game they're just kind of just throwing it, checking it down, basically throwing 5 yard short routes. It's frustrating to watch because first off, like you're not opening up your offense at all, right? The defenses eventually just stop respecting the ability that you're going to push the ball down the field, and then they can just load up the box, right? And be like, hey, we're literally daring you to beat us, and then you still don't do it, right? I mean, heck, we even see it sometimes on Sundays, right? Well, if you watch the Bears Packers game last night, right? I mean, watching the Bears offense try to muster up some type of offense was non-existent, right? They never pushed the ball down the field. I think Justin Fields threw the ball, like dropped back the pass, I think like 15 or so times, right? So seeing us start to take shots on Saturday was very, very encouraging, right? But I feel like that now that has to be like a more consistent thing, right? Like it can't just be we're just going to take shots against, this poor Nevada team, and hopefully we connect one, right? Like it's got to be something that's going to have to be kind of consistent, right? We got to have some type of shots, like whether we're taking, a couple every single quarter, right? Just to get teams off of our back to, start to respect the pass. And another thing about taking those shots is you're giving your guys a chance, right? You got to remember, like you're giving your guys a chance, right? These guys, obviously, we've had some walk-ons and things like that, not our full complement of receivers over the past few weeks, but now that we're starting to get those guys back and getting those guys in the game, right? You got to remember, like these guys were recruited guys, right? They're heavily recruited guys to play Division I football as a receiver, right? So these guys have ability to go up and get the football, right? And this is the way you give them that chance, by taking those shots and pushing the ball down the field. Giving those guys opportunities, right? And it's only going to help the offense that much more, even if you don't connect every single one of them, right? Because realistically, you're not, right? I mean, there are going to be missed throws, there's going to be great plays by the defense, and there's going to be drops, right? Those things happen. But if you do connect on one or two, right? Even if you connect on just one a game, right? It still makes the defense, they have to respect that, right? Because giving up explosive plays are a recipe for losing, right? And so if you can create those as an offense, right, only puts yourself in a much better position. And then obviously, we know a quarterback position situation, right? We know that they're going to stick with Spencer at this point, right? So now it's just on him now, like continue to rep that out more, right? Getting that confidence, just to be like, hey, you know what? At this point in time, like I really got nothing to lose. Like, right, I might as well just start slinging it and just let my arm strength that I have, right, and put it to work. So Spencer's gonna have to improve on his accuracy on the deep ball, but trying to actually force those things deep and pushing the offense a little bit deeper, I think is going to be a very, very good thing for not only the offense, but also for Spencer, right? Because we've seen him struggle a little bit with that short to intermediate accuracy. And I think just pushing the ball downfield a little bit is going to help, ease him a little bit, kind of allow him to relax and play a little bit more confident in the back end, especially if you can connect on a couple of those.
Well, we saw some positive signs, at least forward out of the passing game. I think there's still a long, long ways to go. As we continue here, I want to get LeShun's perspective on this. Everybody played except for the backup quarterback. Am I making something out of nothing. We'll get LeShun's perspective on that. And Big Ten play, it is Rutgers. It's the first road trip. We'll go inside the locker room when LeShun was playing as we continue here in a moment. This is Locked On Hawkeyes. All right, back with you one final time, LeShun, as we break things down. So everybody's playing late in the game. We're going through, we're seeing every backup possible and third teamers and four teamers. Everybody's getting some snaps except for the quarterback. Now, after the game, it was 1:45 in the morning when that thing wrapped up too. So maybe that had something to do with it. It didn't pop into my mind until afterwards. And I got thinking the next day on Sunday, after I woke back up, I thought that was odd. Is this media guy trying to make something out of it? Is this me on the radio trying to come up with controversy? Or is there something that we read into that? Everybody, all the backups are in there, yet Spencer Petras is still taking every single snap.
So with this, honestly, I don't know. Right. I was kind of thinking the same thing. I was like, oh,
was
okay.
weird.
I was like, yeah, I'm like, now, okay, we're up by quite a bit. Obviously, Nevada is not going to have anything on offense, right? So I'm not really worried about them going down and scoring. So like at this point, right, let's get some other guys some reps, right? Let's get some actual tape on them on an actual game, right? See what we're working with, right? So I thought it was a little strange that the quarterbacks, other quarterbacks didn't get any reps on Saturday. And as you just mentioned, right, it could have just been the fact that, hey, it's late now, right? I mean, the game's been delayed like 3 times, right? Spencer's been in it, like might as well just leave him in there, right? There's no point of trying to get, a quarterback now back to being fully warmed up, right? Right. And all those different things and getting them in the game, right? So I mean, that could have been a piece of it, but still, I just thought it was very, very weird, right? I mean, the game was in hand. And it would have been nice to see those other quarterbacks play, but part of it could have been Coach Ferentz just kind of sticking it to everyone, like, hey, like you know what, forget it. Like, hey, I said that Spencer's going to be the quarterback. Spencer's going to be the quarterback, right? And basically just kind of just letting him get reps, but also keeping Spencer in there to obviously have a feeling like, hey, like obviously the coach is like, we're still behind you, right? We still believe in you, and all these different things. So obviously confidence is a big piece of any football player, let alone a quarterback. And obviously just trying to get him, gets more positive reps before heading into Big Ten play, right? Because obviously Big Ten play does change things. Things start moving a lot faster. The games get a lot more competitive, right? So it's going to be, so they probably want to make sure that Spencer is right and ready to go, before Big Ten play starts. And part of that is just obviously just leaving him in there and him taking all the reps.
Just an odd one. We'll put a pin on it and just something to keep in the back of your mind. Just reps are so important. Game reps are so important. You have a backup that's an injury away from going out there and playing again. We haven't seen Padilla all year long. This is a perfect opportunity. I mean, you think that Spencer Petras behind this offensive line is going to be completely healthy all season long. Even if he is a starter all season long, it feels like a stretch. I think you're right. I think this is stubborn Kirk coming out again and saying, hey, you think you guys know football? I know football, and Spencer is going to be the quarterback going forward. Well, you mentioned the start of Big Ten play. So you guys go through your non-conference when you're playing. Big Ten play starts up, and for Iowa, it's Rutgers. A Rutgers team that certainly improved. Shiano's got them much better. But when the Big Ten slate starts, I mean, is there a different vibe inside the building? We've talked about rivalry games and how it does feel different. How about when you get ready for that first Big Ten game?
Yeah, so everyone knows that obviously Big Ten play, that's the most important part of the season, right? Like obviously every single game is important. Right. I mean, you only get so many opportunities on Saturdays to play. And non-conference games are part of that. But we know that for our goals and the goals that we're trying to accomplish, right? All that stuff really gets taken care of in Big Ten play, right? So we know that our intensity has to start ramping up, right? We've got to be locked in a lot more typically, because I mean, for most part, right, like we don't, like Iowa hasn't gone and typically done like the big kind of non-conference games like in the first few games of the year, besides really Iowa State, right? I wish we would, but we didn't, right? But now you're getting to the point in time like, okay, now we're going against some other really, really good football players, really good coaches, and all these different things. So our intensity has to wrap up, our preparation has to be better, right? And a lot of times, right, it's not really on the practice field, right? Because now, right, as we start to get into the bulk of the season, right, we're not going to be hitting as much, all those different things. So it's going to be more important that every single rep that when we are hitting or we are in pads, right, that those reps are taken more seriously, and we are focusing on the things that need to be worked on. Because hey, when we get into actually on a Saturday playing another Big Ten team, things are going to be moving fast, right? And we want to make sure that obviously we're fresh, but obviously our technique is up to par where it needs to be. And then again, we also have to make sure that our preparation in the film room is taken up a notch as well, right? Because again, they're going to be doing a lot more different things than typically some of the smaller schools do, right? Mainly because of the resources they have, the coaches they have, all those different things, right? So it's not going to be it's never a Big Ten game is never easy, and we know that, and we know that all of our goals that we're trying to get accomplished during the Big Ten season.
Well, and that is the game. We'll start to break things down a little bit more here throughout this week and improve Rutgers' team. And I don't know if you saw, I was favored a little over a touchdown right now, but the over-under the game is 34.5. I've never seen, without weather being involved, a power conference over-under at 34.5. What a time to be alive, LeShun.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I mean, I was gonna say, I mean, Rutgers, they don't score too many points on
Yep.
offense. So yeah, we might be in for a defensive game, right? I mean, heck, I remember when we played Rutgers, I think my senior year, the game was like 14-7 or something like that.
14-7. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I could definitely see that under hitting. So yeah, it'll be an interesting game for sure.
Well, we will talk about that when we get back with you on Friday, LeShun. A lot of fun, good breakdown. Kaleb Johnson, we'll see. Maybe a star was born here on Saturday night into Sunday. Now, did you make it to the end of the game, or were you sleeping by the time that
No,
thing went?
I made it. I made it to the end. I don't know I honestly, I don't even remember what I was doing. I think I was just kind of up and around,
Yeah.
just kind of cleaning stuff around the house and just getting some things done and watching some of the other football games
Yeah.
that were on that night. But yeah, I did end up staying to watch the entire game. Probably should have went and got some rest because I mean, it wasn't anything too exciting happened. But yeah, I'm out. I got that black and gold blood. So, stuck it through all the way to the end.
Same thing. I did an instant reaction podcast. It was a late night, and the kids were up early the next day, but yeah, that's all right. Talking Iowa football, not a bad thing. Hey, speaking of
Mhm.
looking forward, the Big Ten opener at home at Kinnick Stadium against Michigan has been announced today. It will be the big noon kickoff, obviously 11 a.m. Central Time, but big noon kickoff. That will be the big noon game on there. So looking forward to that. Michigan coming to town, and we've had some great moments against the Wolverines in the past. Let's hope that it's a little bit better than what we saw in the championship game a week ago. Still another game before that, LeShun. We'll talk about it on Friday. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate it. Go Hawks.